my name's Tracy, if you haven't met me, and welcome to my Artbox channel where I give you step-by-step instructions on completing your own masterpiece. In your Artbox that you purchased, you will have everything you need to create your own project, and I will be adding new paintings as I create them. Don't forget to sign up to our Facebook page, the Inspired Art Company Artbox, where you can see other people's creations and also share yours and get some tips and tricks and have some fun. So welcome to our creative tribe and happy painting! Hello there! So today we're going to be painting the baby bull. You will need the supplies that you received, the palette, the canvas, the paintbrushes. You will also need paper towel and a water container. I like to use an old tin can and recycle. And we're going to start with 3 different colors: the light blue, the cerulean blue, which is the medium blue, and the phthalo blue, which is the dark blue. I always start my paintings by painting the background first. So for this painting, we're going to use the light blue, and we're going to get a real good coverage of the background. This will probably take you several coats, and you're going to want to dry between each coat to take away some of the streaks and give yourself a really nice background to work with. Don't forget to paint the sides of the painting or the canvas because it will just have a more finished look to it. Do long broad strokes if you can. It just looks better when it's finished. And here I am taking the blow dryer to my painting, which is how you can dry it if you want to speed up the process. It's a great trick, and I and all the students use it all the time. Once the background is complete and dried to the touch, the next step we're going to do is to take our larger flat brush. You will notice on the back of the package where the paintbrushes came in, it will have a list of the brushes. We're going to take this cerulean blue, which once again is the medium blue, but we want it to be quite runny, so I'm adding some water to it. Now I'm just doing this with the paintbrush, but if you have a little spray bottle, that works great. Now the consistency has to be runny, but not too runny. You really want to mix the paint with water. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be splattering the canvas with some of that blue paint. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to hit the brush on my finger and let the paint spray. And this is a creative choice for yourself. You can do as much as you want or as little as you want, or don't even do it if you don't want. Choice is yours. Always remember, these lessons are just showing you the way that I would paint the project, but you are free to use your imagination and choose your own colors if you want. Switch them around. Now what you're going to do is you're going to push the brush with the paint, loaded with the paint, onto the top and let the paint run down the canvas. I think this is a really fun technique you can use on all different paintings. Yes, so just hold it and bend it on the top of the canvas and you can watch it run down. Now that I've done that blue, I'm going to switch over to the phthalo blue, one of my favorite colors. And again, we're going to add the water to give it a nice loose consistency. Now I'm going to again let some of the paint run down the canvas. And then I'm going to splatter some as well. It's a little bit messy, but it's definitely fun. And don't be afraid to experiment. Now the other thing you can use is a toothbrush. I've used that quite a bit. And you can put paint on the toothbrush with the same consistency and splatter it onto the painting. Now I'm blow drying this as well before I move on to the next step. Okay, now with this next step, we're going to take the carbon paper and the outline that I put in your package for you, and we're going to trace an outline of our bowl. Now if you want to freehand this, all the power to you. I just include it for those that wish to use it, and a lot of students really appreciate it. So what we're going to do is put the carbon paper down on top of the canvas that is dry with the black side down, and you're drawing over top. You're going to take a pen or a pencil and we're going to trace that onto the canvas. Now make sure you put it exactly where you want it, and you're going to want to hold it securely in place so that it's not moving when you're tracing it. This is just a basic outline for you to use. I do not like to draw on my canvases with a pencil. I always sketch my subject first on some paper and then transfer it. That way I'm not erasing on my canvas, unless I want to do it freehand onto the canvas. This saves a lot of errors for you. By painting the background first, I find that you're not trying to paint around your subject, which can be really frustrating, and you won't get the look that you're wanting to achieve. Lift it, and you have transferred your outline. And now we're going to paint the bow on top of our background. Now what I'm going to do is I have taken the raw umber, which is our darker brown, and we're going to fill in the bowl and give him a base color, but you'll notice I left the eye and the nose out. Once you've done that, you can take the golden brown, which is your lighter brown, and you can fill in the nose. The great thing about purchasing one of these art kits is that you can paint at your own speed. You can put it away and save it for a time when you have more availability to paint. If you choose to do this, you need to take your paints and put them back in the paint pot so they don't dry and seal it really well. Or you can cover the palette with some saran wrap and that'll stay moist for quite a while. But acrylics do dry really fast, so this can be a challenge. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the golden brown, I'm mixing a bit of white with it, I'm using the middle of the palette to blend my colors, and I'm going to do a layer on the horns. Again, I'm using the flat brush, which I use all the time. The paintbrushes that you received in the package are actually really good paintbrushes. If you get into painting and you're doing a lot of painting, you might want to invest in some expensive paintbrushes, but you certainly don't need them right away. These are really good brushes. The beauty of acrylic is that you can't really make a mistake. If there's something that you're really not happy with and you're frustrated, you can just take a little bit of the paint and paint over it and let it dry and then start again. You'll notice as I'm painting that horn, it's pulling the paint off of it. That's because it's not dry. So it needs to be dry for me to give it another coat. Now I'm going back in, I'm adding a little more of the dark brown. I want to cover the background. Now I made a choice to leave one eye that you could see through the fur, but if you want to have two that are visible, that is again your creative choice. So on my palette I have the raw umber, the raw sienna, and the golden brown and the white. So just keep adding some more of the golden brown to the horns to cover the background. You'll notice I like to use longer strokes rather than small ones, unless I'm doing a small object like his eyes. I think a really good tips is always keep your paintbrushes clean and your water clean so it doesn't muddy your painting. You're going to want to wash your paintbrushes really good so they last longer, and lay them flat. Don't leave them in the water container because it will bend the bristles. So always have some fresh paper towel to wipe them on. That'll last you for a long time if you take care of them. The acrylic paint will build up at the base of the bristles if you don't. I also use the flat brush lot like a pencil. I use the tip of it. Here I'm adding a tiny bit more of the raw umber to the horns. You want to create some dimension. Now, in here I took the smaller flat brush and I'm adding some more of the raw umber to the inside that I left. With acrylics, you want to paint with the darker first, moving towards the light. And in this, my technique of painting, I'm using, again, the background, and I'm moving forward in the painting. Now I'm taking one of the little liner brushes, and I'm going to add some white to his eye. Back to the smaller flat brush. Some golden brown to his little nose. I did add some white, so it's quite a bit lighter. I hope you're enjoying painting. It's definitely therapeutic. I think it's good for the soul, and it helps you to relax and kind of clear your mind and enjoy your time being creative. Like I say, there's no mistakes that you can make that you can't paint over, so don't get stressed. Just enjoy it. It's a process, so the more you practice, the better you get. Now I've switched over to a liner brush, and I am going to pick up some of that raw sienna, which is that mustard color you have there, and I'm going to add some fur. Now with the fur, just like using a pencil, we're going to just draw the fur. The great thing is the Himalayan cow or the bull has long fur, so you can have some fun with it. And because the raw sienna is lighter than the background, it will show up. And then we'll move towards adding some white to that as well. So fill in his ears,
you can see that the adding a little bit of white made it stand out even more. I love painting. I can paint for 8 hours, 10 hours, and not even notice the time. It's a great pastime. The fur is done in layers as well. So here you can see that I just keep adding more and more. So we've done with some of the golden brown and white as well. Make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush when you're doing the fur. I'm going to go in here with the horns, add a little bit of the darker brown to add a shadow and separate it from the horn on both sides. Fur can take quite a while, so just relax and have fun. And like I said, if you want to do something else for a while, you can come back to it. Now I'm going to go around the eye and the nose. You notice how the dark brown background creates the dimension. Don't forget that you can purchase several kits and you can have your friends over and you can paint together. I will be adding more paintings as I create them, as well as some paintings for children. Now I've done some fur on his back, his hair on the back. And adding a bit of the brown and the white. I'm going to go in and fill in around his mouth and nose. I'm trying to make sure, you'll notice I'm wiping it on the paper towel. That's because I'm trying to make sure I have a nice fine point to work with. You don't want globs of paint on the end of your brush. also notice I'm resting my wrist on the edge of the table to get a nice steady hand, and then I'm holding the canvas with the other hand. Although if you have an easel at home, you can use an easel. I do both. This painting has a lot of details for sure. I'm adding a little bit of the lighter golden brown around his lower jaw so that it shows up on the background. To create some little fur there. You don't want to cover all of the brown background of the bowl because you want the dimension, so make sure you do leave some. Now I've gotten some of the darker brown again, and I'm going to create some dimension for the horns. I think these horns are really awesome. Yep, so the fur was done by mixing the different browns and white together in layers to create the dimension. Now I'm taking some of the lighter brown and I'm going to fill in some color on his eyes and some white. Again, making sure you don't have big gobs of paint on your paper. And then I've added a little white highlight to his eye once I completed it. And I'm adding some white highlights to the fur to pick up the light.
Thanks for joining me. Cheers!
In the end, what I'm going to do is actually add a few blue highlights to his fur, and a white highlight to his nose, his muzzle, and his horns, and his eyes to catch the light. Whether you've painted before or this is your first time, thanks for joining me. We'll chat soon.